What's up? This is Richie from the Where We Wild YouTube channel, and today I'm going to show you how to put braided line on a spinning reel. One of my reels needs some fresh braided line, so I'm just going to show you how I go about doing that. Let's get into it. Alright, so basically what you're going to need for this is you're going to need a little bit of monofilament line, you're going to need your braided line obviously, and a good pair of scissors. If you just put braided line directly onto your spool, it's going to slip around and cause problems. So you can put some electrical tape around there if you just want to put the braided line right on, but I found the best way to do it is to tie on a little bit of mono first. So before you get started, you just want to take your mono and run it down through the eyes of the rod. You can go through all of them, but usually I'll just run it through the main big eye down at the bottom of the rod, just to keep some tension on there and keep the line level and everything and make sure it's coming into the reel nice and even. And so once you run it down through the eyes, you're going to need to tie the mono onto your spool, and always make sure your bail is open before you tie this knot. If you tie it with the bail closed, you're screwed and you're going to have to do it all over again. So make sure that bail is open, and then to tie it on, you can do a bunch of different knots, but you know, I don't really find the knot is that important because you never ever get down to it. So just a basic double overhand knot I think gets it done here. Just go over once, go over twice, tighten it up, cut your tag end off nice and close, and you're ready to spool on that mono. So when you're spooling on the mono, you just want to make sure it's coming on nice and tight. I like to put my fingers out in front of it and grab it, maybe like you know, like a foot out in front. I'll just kind of wet my fingers, my index finger and my thumb. You can use a rag, something like that, but you don't want to squeeze the line too hard because, you know, if it gets too hot, it can melt and damage the line. So you're not really holding it super tight, but just tight enough so it's coming on even. You can even have someone else hold it for you, you know, like your wife, your girlfriend, or somebody. I usually fill up the reel maybe like a quarter of the way with mono just to save money on braid. I mean, it's not necessary to have your whole spool filled with more expensive braided line. I mean, it's just not necessary. So I'll fill up like a quarter of the way with the mono. Then I'll use a double uni knot to tie my braid to my mono. All right, so to get your mono and your braid together, you're gonna use a double uni knot. It's pretty simple. Basically just gonna line up the two pieces of line together so they're right next to each other parallel. And you're gonna grab your braid and make a loop, and make sure that the mono is part of that loop, just around the top here. You're gonna wrap your braid around 6 times. 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're just gonna pull down. Tightens up like that, makes that little knot there. Then you're just gonna flip around, do the same thing with the mono over the braid. But the mono is thicker, so instead of going around 6 times, you want to go around 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to tighten that down as well, just kind of keep everything tight. You're just trying to make that pinch down on each other. Then you want to wet it, put a little spit on my hands, and then you're just going to tighten down slowly and pull those 2 knots together. Let's see if it'll show up here. Just like that. I always wrap it around my hands, pull it in pretty tight. Not so tight that you're gonna break it, but tight enough to get that knot nice and small. Then you're gonna trim your tag ends as close as you possibly can, because this knot is gonna be down in your spool, and so you want it really tight and compact. And this is the same knot that I use to tie my fluoro or mono leader to my braid. All right, so there you go. You wind up with that tiny little knot there, and it's super strong. All right, so now let's reel this braid on. So same deal when you're spooling on your braided line, you just want to make sure it's coming in nice and tight. You just can hold it with your index finger and your thumb out ahead of it just to give it some tension. You know, you can wet your fingers, you can use a wet rag, anything, you know, but just slight tension on there so it's coming in nice and tight. So as you're spooling on your braided line, you just want to pay attention and make sure you're not overfilling the reel. Usually you just want to try to get it right up to that lip, maybe a little before it, depending on what you like. I kind of overfill my reels a little bit, so I'll go right up to that lip, maybe even like one tiny little revolution, one tiny little reel or two past it. The more filled up the reel is to that lip, the easier it is for that line to fly off it, so you get better casting distance. But if you overfill it, then the line's gonna just become a mess on you and fall off on its own, and it'll cause problems. After I spool on all my braided line, usually when I get down to the lake, you can kind of stretch out that line. If you're fishing from the shore, you can tie on a casting weight, something really heavy like a 1 ounce casting weight, and just bomb it out there so you can reel in like all nice and tight perfectly. You can even put on a weight and drop it behind your boat and just let the line go, just drive your boat and let it almost take all the line off, and then reel it all in perfectly tight before you get fishing. But that's how I do it, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, and if you're into this sort of thing, don't forget to hit subscribe. We put a new video out every single week. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Later. If you want to see more videos just like this one, be sure to check out the rest of the Where We Wild YouTube channel, where we post a brand new video every week. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notified whenever we post a new adventure. Thanks for watching.